our guest, Kevin Emmanuel. Let's move on quickly to our final conversation for today. The situation concerning many issues in Nigeria can best be described as the more we see, the less we learn. 2 years after the attack on the Kuje Medium Custodial Center in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, more than 400 escaped inmates remain at large. These include several terrorists. What concerns have been raised about the potential implications of these individuals walking free? Security agencies have been unable to recapture the fugitives despite several efforts. Poor data management has been cited as a key factor in slowing down the process of recapturing the escaped terrorists and other inmates. Gentlemen, Adeoye, let me come to you first. Potential implications of these individuals remaining at large. What's the security implication?
Well, I think we are going over the same problem again, over and over again. A problem that we have discussed here several times. We have made suggestions, but it seems it's like you are just fetching water into the basket, you know. I hope our leaders will realize the implications of what is going on. In 5 years, between 2016 and 2021, we had about a total of 4,365 people that, you know, ran away from our prisons. And only about 949 were captured. Now we are, you know, and most of those that were captured are just people who just felt, look, I will soon be released. Why do I need to? So when they are talking about capture, it's not as if, you know, some more than just, okay, maybe I will release in 2 months' time. Why do I need to? So when you keep people, why do we have prisons? To keep away people that represent major threats to the society. But when you keep them there, and the next thing is that they escape, I think it has very serious implications for Nigerian security. But there are all sorts of problems that are responsible for this. One of them is the crisis of the state itself, which corruption, you know, people cannot leave prison without having internal collaborators. And they cannot do without working with, you know, people that are inside the prisons. There were a problem of infrastructure and then manpower. Some of these prisons were built several years ago, maybe with a capacity like Kirikiri was built with a capacity of 1,056. Now you have about over 2,000 that are there. So we have not been able to build more correctional centers. I think all over the country we have just about 240. Today we have about 82,000 plus that are in prisons. And out of that, 53,000 are awaiting trial. It means that we don't have an effective judicial system that can dispense with cases on time. So when people are awaiting trial, they are kept behind bars, sometimes for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and more. Then there is a problem of poor documentation and inability of Nigeria to employ modern technology. Because if people escape from prisons, you know, 100, 2,000, 3,000, if you have their DNA, if you have their fingerprints, if they go to ATM and touch ATM, there should be an alarm that will ring at the next police station. In fact, if they go anywhere, public area, where they touch anything, you should be able to, and if you have the data of their fingerprints, it should be very easy to track them. But we are even having a situation where when they leave prisons, they begin to text messages to policemen, threatening them, using telephones to threaten policemen, threaten immigration officers. Then I think it's also a function of the breakdown of public trust. Look at what happened in Owerri. You know, I think in 2021, April 5, 1,844 inmates were freed between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. 1,000 plus. That's a huge crowd. And they let that prison go in 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. and nobody was able to get anyone off.
All right, Adekunle.
So I think...
what's your reaction to this? I mean, 2 years after.
2 years after, it just shows the poor state of data management in Nigeria. As we speak, a country of this size doesn't have a national database of its citizens. Do we have it? We don't. You see FRS, you know, running after you to do this. You see VIO running after you to do that. You see National Identity Commission. You see banks doing their own. You see all sorts of, without, you see INEC, you see all of that. sometimes it baffles me that are we really interested in an efficient system?
All right.
Because many of these problems, we don't need to think outside the box. Yeah. We just borrow these ideas. Other countries that have done it, how did they do it?
All right.
We can do this, but now we have not, and we are suffering some of the, failures of COVID
and consequences.
So the problem is, number one, poor data management in Nigeria. We must do something about that.
All right.
Each time election is coming and they are, and I said, no, it's unnecessary.
All right, gentlemen, let's speak with our guest who is in Abuja
Okay.
for more discussion on this issue. He's a security analyst and editor of Security Digest, Chidi Omeji. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Good afternoon to you. How are you today, sir?
Great. Good afternoon to you too. How are you?
Very good, thank you. So 2 years after the attack on the Kuje Medium Custodial Center in Abuja, more than 400 escaped inmates remain at large. Why is it difficult to rearrest them?
First of all, let me say hello to my friend, Adewale Adeoye. We were contemporaries at the University of Nigeria. Adewale, how are you today?
Yeah, thank you. I'm fine.
Great.
How are you
now, I'm good. So, the issue of prisons, otherwise known as correctional service, is something that Nigerians really get to be intentional when we are discussing it. Because, you know why? Because the prisons, aka correctional service, sits at the heart of Nigeria's security architecture as a holding facility for convicted people. Apart from people who are convicted, they also hold people who are on awaiting trials. And of course, you know that 60 to 65 to 70% of people, inmates in our prisons, are actually on our awaiting trial men. What does that tell you? It tells you that the criminal judicial system, justice system rather, is weak. Not just weak, but completely ineffectual. What else does it tell you? It tells you that we don't seem to dispense justice appropriately, and people who ought not to spend so much time have spent them as awaiting trial men. Now, back to the issue of prison break and implications. You see, I remember when that incident happened in Kuje about 2 years back. I actually wrote an article and said the caption of the article was beyond the outrage of the thing. And I tried to itemize, I tried to emphasize the dangers, the implications, the grave implications of this development. Because then it was like it was back-to-back incident, And then of course, don't forget also that just some months back there was an infraction in one of the, I think Kuje or so, where they had some issues in the system, in the prisons, and the inmates escaped. And for months, those who are managing that place were unable to at least provide the public with the data, with the portraits of those who escaped. So there are a lot of systemic problem, in the whole thing. But then it's not just about those who are managing our correctional facilities. It's not about their ineffectiveness as so much as it is the ineffectiveness of our entire internal security architecture. Now, if your correctional service that sits at the heart of your security architecture is in this bad shape, then what do you expect that the other aspect of our internal security management is? So now, I don't know if you have been to the prisons of late. You, just like Adewale mentioned, you've seen the prisons, the facilities you see are those built almost some 100 years ago, some 50 years ago. Some were meant to hold maybe about 200 people, but if you go there, they're holding about 1,000 people. So it becomes, it's more like an eyesore is an understatement. It's a horrible situation that is no longer a facility to reform people. It's actually a facility to either,
All right,
maim them for life or destroy them for life. So there are a lot of...
All right, Mr. Omeji, you've just talked about internal security architecture, but there's also the issue of poor data management, which has been cited as a key factor in recapturing these inmates. For you, are there no records of the inmates, or the issue is contact tracing?
Look, this issue of data management has always been a problem to us, and I do not know why we are not able to get it right. I was thinking that this new government that we have, this government that we have now, actually the Minister of Internal Affairs, who have shown much capacity to reform stuff, I was thinking that he's going to, more or less handle this our data issue, because if there's a place where we need data, accurate data, functioning data management, it is our correctional facilities, because you get to know who you are holding. You get to know the profiles of those in that facility. You get to know how dangerous they are. You know their capacities and capabilities and what they can do. You get to know how you get to manage them. You get to understand who you have. But if you don't have the data, what are you doing? So we should be able to invest not just resources, but invest our intentionality in data management. We have to invest resource, time, and expertise to get it right. Because if you don't get the data right in our holding facilities, you have not begun. Because how do you know what you are doing if you don't have the data? So it is actually very critical that we must talk about it. The Ministry of Internal Affairs, led by this young man who has shown much capacity. I actually like him, one of my best ministers. I think he should think along that line, that the best legacy he will leave is to ensure that we have a very functioning, a very dynamic data management system in our correctional services. It's just very key.
Okay, everybody knows that the issues are multifaceted. Just beyond the Minister of Interior, what other issues do you think we must get right before we start, clapping for our country that everything is now, moving in the right direction?
Are you talking in terms of reforming our correctional service?
Because the judiciary is also involved. The law enforcement is also involved. So many of them.
Absolutely, you are spot on there. Judiciary is actually very, very fundamental in our effort to reform, or rather to modernize our correctional service. If we don't get the judiciary to be effective, to make sure that justice is dispensed, as at when due, and then that people who ought not to be held should let go, because you have the problem of congestion and arising from slow justice system, arising from ineffective, or rather lack of logistics to even convey inmates to the courts. So these are basic things that other climes have taken care of way back. So I wonder why it's still becoming an issue. So apart from that issue of judiciary, which is very important, like I said, we also, of course, we have to talk about the entire the whole internal security mechanism in this country. What do I mean here? I mean the fact that most times we seem not to get it right in terms of what agency does this and stuff to make sure that the entire system works normal. So there are a lot of work to be done. And I keep mentioning the Internal Affairs Ministry because, of course, that our custodial, I always have problem with our presence within his domain. And it's something that he had, like I said, let it be one of his legacies. He has to do something about it. He has to be intentional about getting our presence right. Because each time you have jailbreak, each time you have this story about presence being compromised, it complicates our internal security challenges. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, but beyond the effort of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, I expect also that states where our presence should get involved. I mean, every state, most states in the country hosts prison facility. They should be able to contribute one way or the other to helping the guys who are managing our correctional facilities. So the states have to be involved, and this. All right.
Mr. Meje, several terrorists are part of the escaped inmates yet to be recaptured. What is the implication of these individuals walking free?
The implication is there. The implication is incredible. I mean, it's like you are unleashing very dangerous. Don't forget that, like I mentioned before, the prisons, aka correctional facilities, is a facility where you have terrorists, cross-border bandits, kidnappers, rapists, occultists, whatever hue of criminality are held there. So you can imagine when such a facility is compromised, and all these kind of people are let into the unsuspecting society. You can imagine where you have Adeola, you mentioned and he said about 1,000 or more than 1,000 inmates, broke out of the jail. Now and then, of course, distilled into communities. Do you know what it means? We're talking about hardened criminals, most of them. We're talking about guys who and don't forget that the prisons, because of the inefficiency of our correctional service system, the prisons most times even turn out to be where they plan most of their activities. So these are guys who are adept in criminality. So and then now they're let loose. So
do you suspect an insider's job, Mr. Major? Do you suspect an insider's job for this to have taken so long to be addressed?
When you say insider job, what do you mean? Are you talking about the
internal saboteurs?
Those. I'm asking you. Are you talking about probably? Are you suspecting that those managing our correctional services are part of the laxity that leads to the compromise? Well, it is possible. Nothing is impossible. As a matter of fact, nothing is impossible in this country. So I cannot rule it out. I can't rule that out. But we have to also be mindful of several factors that actually occasion this kind of back-to-back compromises in our correctional facilities. Issue of poor facilities, issue of we don't deploy good technology to help out, because you get to have, there are some basic technologies that we can't afford not to have. The issue of like CCTV, for instance. Why on earth should we not have CCTV in our holding facilities in 21st century? Why on earth can't we have common drones to fly around to see, to assist in intelligence? Why can't we have? There are a lot of very simple technologies that are actually lacking in our holding facilities. Yet you have multifaceted internal security challenges that assail the country. You have the issue of terrorism, you have the issue of banditry, you have the issue of insurgency, you have the issue of kidnapping. You have so many of these terrible things happening, yet you are playing with a correctional service. It's incredible.
Right. Thank you so much. It's a handful, I must say, but thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We've been speaking with a security analyst and editor of Security Digest, Chidi Omeje. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you.
Right, gentlemen. So I'm still wondering, why do we have issues with data documentation in 2024? And do you think we've learned our lesson from that jailbreak? Have we really learned our lessons when it comes to security in this country? Adekule, let me allow you to go first.
I don't think we have, because I've never seen enough science to convince me that we are serious yet. Beyond just, security issues, even everything we do, you need data. You need to know how many we have. We need to know who is doing this, who is not doing this. How can 400 people from just one, correctional center, break loose, including Boko Haram, people. And they're in the Nigerian society, and today you're yet to apprehend them. Don't forget, we talk about the root cause. One of it is poor management. We don't have data. Where is our national database? Because I don't know how it is difficult. Remember, they put their identity and everything in international Interpol. They publish this in some newspapers, including websites. Yet, up to today, they have not been brought back, to come and serve their time. What does that say about us? It says everything about us needs to change. Right. We are not doing the right thing. Do you know that in our prisons we have about 4,000 people that are on death rows? They are not meant to be in the prison.
All right.
Our governors, they develop code with when it comes to signing. And these are people who have passed through all legal options. Because when we are blaming the judiciary, we should also blame.
Your final take on
my final thing is just to thank Chidi Omeje and also to, because as I saw him, something traumatic flashed on my mind. He's using glasses. He was attacked by, the NSO, secret operatives during the military days. He was at the University of Nigeria, Soka at that time. It was in the student movement. And then they came to the campus, attacked him, almost made him blind. Several students, some lost their, manhood and brutalized. So it just flashed back to me the memory of the repression of what military rule actually meant. And that was the beginning of cultism on campuses, because the military was trying to establish armed groups on university campuses using UNN as an experiment. And that's why today you see all sort of armed groups on our campus. So I'm glad I was able to survive, that trauma. It's one of the heroes of democracy, but a lot of people...
Once again, thank you, Mr. Omeje. Thank you very much. All right, gentlemen, we have to go. Adewale Adeoye and Adekunle Yusuf. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your perspectives on the program today. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching, everyone. That's all on Journalist Hangout on Sunday. Join us tomorrow for the regular episode of the program at 5 p.m. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11:30. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.